link at www.crpusd.org. Members of the public are entitled to speak to any item on the agenda either immediately after the item is called by the board president or following background information provided related to the item at the board president's discretion. Each person is entitled to speak on any agenda item only once at any meeting. Although board members may seek additional information, participation in debate on any item before the board shall be limited to members of the board. Please fill out a comment card which will be given to the board president indicating the item you wish to address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual and 20 minutes per item. I would like to invite Jen Bakovich up for the flag salute.
So, before I begin, I do want to just say thank you. Superintendent or school board, I'm not sure who invited me to lead the flag salute this evening. Thank you, Dr. Bailey. This is a real honor to me because teaching fifth grade, one of my classroom jobs that I have for my students is they are the pledge leader. And so we say the pledge every day, and they learn how to lead a group by saying the pledge. So I'm very proud of them, and so it's really a cool thing for me to be able to have this opportunity to lead. And I was going to say, please stand for the pledge. They're already standing, that's good. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item B, approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda as read.
I'll second. I have a first and a second. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item 2, there are no presentations scheduled. Item 3, communications. Rohnert Park Cotati Educators Association Authority.
Yeah, I'm looking on with it. So this is the last time I'll be saying good evening, President Farrell, Superintendent Haley, and distinguished members of the board. Of course, the last time I'll be saying it as president of RIPSIA, Rohnert Park Cotati Educators Association. I might be addressing the board in the future and talking to you at this level too. So this is my final speech to the board, and I am so grateful I had this opportunity to represent the members of RIPSIA. A highlight as president was visiting sites where I met and saw Cotati Rohnert Park school staffs, and not only the educators, but the office staff, maintenance, principals, and district officials. Together, we are CRP USD, and we all work hard for the best of our students, schools, and community. I feel one of the largest roles in being president is the job of communicator, capital C, communicator. To communicate effectively, objectively, and accurately is what I strive for most in this role. A communicator listens intently, asks questions, works to understand one's point of view, finds the root of an issue, or tries to find the root of an issue, and yet sees the big picture. All those are so important, and I think about all those things. My goals throughout my tenure were to educate members and to build relationships with the district, all the while building communications. And these goals kept my focus. In August of 2016, when I first addressed the board as president, I spoke how RIPSIA survey would guide my direction in 4 areas: respect, staff input, communication, and morale. At the district level, I feel there has been improvement, and at school sites, there is also progress. At most, but not at all. Yet we will work together to diligently communicate so that these sites can also improve in these areas. One tool that can foster communications at all sites between labor and management is the ASK meetings. admin staff communications. And I continue to talk about the ask meetings because it's really a great way to keep two-way communication fluid between the principal and site reps and ultimately the staff. The meetings are still in working stage to become more consistent around the district, and I hope principals too will be proactive in reaching out to site reps to schedule them come the start of the new school year. I want to thank those educators who do step up to be leaders in RIPSIA, whether it be a site rep, the bargaining team, the calendar committee, any chaired or representative position, because it's not an easy task to communicate and to represent the whole. These individuals too are communicators, and in doing so they support their colleagues, they support their school site, and they support their principal. This builds overall strength in our district. In April, I shared with the board that CTA recommends TK classrooms not to exceed a ratio of 20:1 and to be supported by a qualified instructional aide. Keep in mind that aides are also important in TKK combo classes too. So several TK teachers, along with myself, met with Dr. Sinyard at the end of May to communicate more specifically the needs for such support. And we also discussed aspects and potential challenges of finding aides. Even if aides are placed in TK classrooms for the first few months of the school year when demands are greatest, it would provide support to the teacher and students, prevent teacher burnout, and foster a more effective, safe classroom. So perhaps the district can begin a recruiting process for such positions. So just to keep that in mind. I'd like to recognize the district and the principals for their efforts in meeting with RIPSIA in multiple settings, and that includes the HR department. I talk often to Karen. Thank you, Karen. All your support with individual members has been greatly appreciated. This leads me to credit the school board for your diligent work for our education community. So thank you, trustees. I am confident the next executive board will continue levels of communication and collaboration, all the while protecting our contract and supporting our members. So finally, on a personal note, I do want to give a special thanks to Dr. Haley and Dr. Sinyard for allowing Sean Carney and myself to present about LGBTQ+ students and families at both April's Ed Summit and the district safety meeting. There is a need to educate our educators about this community and how to support them at the elementary level all the way up to the high school level. Sean and I both received thanks from educators and district staff for presenting about this topic, and those folks also expressed the desire to learn more. So FYI to the district, I have more time on my hands now, okay? So if you need support in educating our educators about this community, I would step right up to the plate. So we do appreciate the support of the board, support of the district. Board, thank you again for putting us on the agenda. I just felt from that day forward, things just started to even get more collaborative. So thank you for that. Enjoy your summer, and I'll see you next year in a different light. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Item B, receive official correspondence. There is none for this meeting. Item 4, consent agenda. Is there any public comment for this item? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 5, educational services. Is there any public comment request for this item? Item 5A, elementary physical education requirements, Cal 200, third trimester report.
This is the final one, and we don't have to do this again.
Does this pretty much die in California?
It died by statute. The legislature amended, made some changes to prevent this happening in other districts. I think there was at least one more round of suits, maybe 2, but I'm not sure. But it's not possible.
Good.
Just a report.
Item B, can I get a motion for ratification of educational services contracts for 2018-19?
I move we ratify educational services contracts for 18-19.
A second.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, question. I don't know, Julie can answer this, sorry, just the agreement with, is it Unity? For $97,000 for independent study curriculum for students at Flex Academy. I'm just curious as to what that was. Is that their computer programs they're working on? Okay.
Yeah, it's online curriculum.
Okay. So is this something, and then so how many students, how many Flex students do we have, or does it vary?
It varies at any given time. So any student that gets behind in credit can be referred to the program, and they have to earn the credit. Once they earn the credit, they could then return to the mainstream, or if they're in Flex and they want that to be a significant part of their journey through high school, they could stay in that program. And then it's also covers students who are on independent study. They have something that's occurred that's not allowing them to go to school.
And then the question, either lottery or LCFF, why choose funding sources?
Gives us flexibility. I mean,
Yeah.
It's because we have been coding it to lottery. We've been doing online credit recovery for a long time. This is our second year with Edgenuity. But we realized that we could count the expenditure towards the minimum proportionality percentage, which is a requirement that we spend a certain part of our revenue to help support at-risk youth, the English learners of free and reduced. This would qualify. So right now it's in the budget and lottery, but after we're done with the budget and we are making our updates, we're going to move it to unrestricted money so we can count it towards the end.
Thank you. Thanks for the question.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item 6, personnel services. Are there any public comment requests for this item? 6A, ratification of personnel action report 1718-12A certificated.
I move to ratify personnel action report 1718-12A certificated.
I'll second. Are there any questions?
I just wanted to make reference to Amy Carter's, we'll just call promotion, over to Novato Unified. As I think that it's a great loss, you know, never say never. She could be back, and it's good for somebody to get experience that they may not necessarily be able to get here. And so, good luck to Amy Carter if you're watching.
Yes. Good luck and congratulations.
well, then I'd say good luck to Mr. Johnson on his journey to Tennessee with his family, and good luck to Sarah Fountain, who will also got a promotion to Sonoma County Office of Ed. Also on this register, I know is at least Michelle Smith for Lawrence Jones Middle School. We're excited to bring her in. And Lewis Hansler, who's been preparing for this opportunity for quite some time and is very excited. I think we already had done Christina Curry. We have an announcement on the website. So I think we're losing some talent, but we're also gaining some talent. So it's a good trade. It's a good balance.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item B, ratification of personnel action report 1718-12B classified.
I move to ratify personnel action report 1718-12B classified.
I'll second.
Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item C, revised 2018-19 salary schedules for RIPSIA, SEIU confidential and management employees.
I move we approve the revised salary schedules for RIPSIA, SEIU, confidential and management employees.
I'll second. Are there any questions?
Just a comment, I'm voting against this tonight because it takes a teacher 24 years in some cases, or no, it takes a teacher 19 years to get from the bottom of the scale if they're hired at the beginning to the top. In management employees, it takes 5 years. So I didn't like the management steps before, and I still don't like them, but I'm only one vote, so.
Those have been that way for forever. I don't.
No, the teachers, but we changed the management.
No, we didn't.
We changed your scale from to steps from a salary.
Correct, but not the management salary schedules, the confidentials haven't changed in structures. I've been here, I'm sure, far predating me.
The other point is that generally people are not hired into management when they're straight out of college. Typically, management employees have worked in some capacity for a number of years before they become a member of the management.
They moved their way up, kind of like being part of moving up to assistant superintendent.
We have no problem. RIPSIA wanted to open up for negotiations on restructuring their salary schedule. That's their prerogative to open up on that. But the steps in the management schedule, I'm sure, go back to.
Long before me.
Yeah.
But one thing it does create is when you up the salary range of a higher paid person compared to a teacher the same amount, the separation becomes more and more and more every year. So because you take a $200,000 number and add 4% to it, you get $8,000. If you take a teacher making $50,000 at 4%, it's $2,000. So
I think the ratio stays the
Pardon
same.
me?
Doesn't the ratio stay the same though?
The percentage does, but the dollars don't.
Well, then the reverse would be true. If you didn't do that, then it would shrink over time, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that happen?
It could. I mean, they could get closer, but they're separated apart.
During the furlough years and the salary schedule reduction years, management took a bigger hit too. It did work both directions.
Sure.
Yeah.
In fact, management got an extra round of cuts. Look, out the door, I must well get to that.
All right, I have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed?
Item 7, Business and Operations Services. Are there any public comment for this item? Okay. 7A, Resolution 1718-18, requesting fund transfers from Sonoma County Treasurer under Article XVI, Section 6 of the State Constitution.
Move we adopt Resolution 1718-18, requesting fund transfer from Sonoma County Treasurer under Article 16, Section 6 of the State Constitution.
I'll second. Are there any questions? Roll call.
Trustee Welchman?
Yes.
Trustee Orloff?
Yes.
Trustee Nahn?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Farrell?
Yes. Item 8, Board Services. Are there any public comment requests for this item? 8A.
Before we do that, I'd just like to comment on Trustee Orloff's stunning use of conversion of Roman numerals there. It was very nice.
Oh, was it?
It's June, we gotta mention something here.
Jen, when do you learn Roman numerals?
Do we even teach them anymore?
I think
I know I learned them in elementary school.
yeah. I did, for state reports.
Yeah.
Mine to start, but practice needs to be a gym.
It's easy to lose it. All right. 8A, Fiscal Update and Planning.
Item 1 we'll cover in the budget. Item 2, I've had further correspondence with the attorney representing the Federated Indians of Great and Rancheria, but we've yet to figure out when we would schedule a meeting, so that remains a work in progress. As a reminder, the funds do come directly to us, so they will continue to be deposited into our general fund. Under facilities update, briefly, I checked on all our projects. Everything's moving along great. I spent some time today at John Reed, inside and outside of classrooms, around the campus. I'd like to reiterate again that our own facilities and operations staff is doing a remarkable job there. And they continue to transform that school. I think people are going to be amazed if they haven't driven by there when they come back to school in August. In fact, I think it'll go beyond amazed. I think they're going to be shocked. It's a very dramatic transformation that's taking place there, both inside and outside of the classrooms. I think it's going to be just, I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. I see our principal there, Monica Fong, and I just think it's going to be truly, truly something remarkable for the oldest section in Rohnert Park. So
I
I'm
saw
very
the
proud of that.
pictures that you posted
I did post
today.
them on today. I was so
And-
proud of it. I was like, this is amazing. I like the dad and the kid riding their bike. I was waiting, and then I thought, now I'll get that too.
It's amazing how much progress the maintenance and operations crew has done, even
Yeah.
when were we there?
A
10
week
days
ago.
ago, a week ago?
Yeah, or a
And
week and a
to
half.
see the progress they've made in that week is exciting.
Fun, and I mean, the tag building, geez, we toured that thing on Wednesday, the
15th?
15th.
13th?
I mean, that's just
15th?
crazy what's happened in that short amount of time.
Parcel tax update, just we did get some June receipts. There's no changes in the parcel tax funding plan proposed for next year. Nothing new under bond authorization. And development update, touch on that a little bit in the budget, but we are getting students enrolling in the new sections.
Item B, board policies regarding AB 699.
I move we adopt board policies regarding AB 699.
I'll second that. Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item C, naming of 5860 Labatt Avenue.
Did we had our public comment, we don't,
We had our.
Well, you can take public comment
Yeah.
on any item.
well, yeah, I mean, our hearing
Our
last week,
hearing.
excuse you. I mean, my own opinion on this is that we consider one of two names, either Rohnert Park Educational Center or Labatt Educational Center. I think it's important that people from out of district know the location. I know how Google works and Google Maps, and I've been in the wrong place because of poor naming, and I think we ought to just be clear on where this location is. We're going to have meetings from all over the county there, and I think it would be helpful to have an identifier for that location.
I'm okay with it being Rohnert Park Education Center or Education Center in Rohnert Park. So I would not want to put the bathroom.
Okay.
That's my opinion. There's my 2 cents.
I'm fine with it being Rohnert Park Education Center or Education Center in Rohnert Park.
I'd
Yeah.
rather.
Oh, wait, we could call it the Ann Barron.
I'm still alive.
That's like bad karma.
I think, in listening to what Lev said at the last meeting, I think if you put Cotati on there, I think, even though that is the name of our district, I think it just causes confusion. And we want to name it something where people can find it and it's not confusing and it's straightforward, so.
And I put some thought into that. First of all, I looked to find, and I couldn't find if there's any historical significance to Labatt. So if there was, it's been lost to time.
Oh, sure.
I can find that out for you.
Yeah, well, and then in terms of Cotati, if this facility were in Cotati, I would advocate for calling it Cotati Educational Center. It'd be great if we still own the property there where we had Cotati Elementary, but we don't. And then in terms of the balance of names, our probably highest profile name is Rancho Cotati High School, which doesn't include Rohnert Park in it anywhere. At one point, this was Rohnert Park Junior Senior High. So, again, it's the board's prerogative. I do have a recommendation of Rohnert Park Educational Center. I just think it'll be clear for people traveling here where the location is. But That's my recommendation. If you want to go a different route, I'd certainly be open to any of that.
Is the plan a monument sign where it says like Cotati Rohnert Park on the top and then the?
Well, it's not, yeah, I mean, there'll be signage at the facility. It's also going to be in an email. It's going to be in, telling people where to go. Where's the meeting at? Oh, it's at Rohnert Park Educational Center. The signage is important because it'll have the overall signage for the facility and then indicate the parts that are Sonoma County Office of Ed, the parts that are Sonoma County Special Education, or other things that we move there over time. But so yeah, we would have a monument sign, probably other signage as well. But really, it's a designator to tell people where it's at.
I move we rename 5860 Labatt Avenue to Rohnert Park Education Center.
I'll second. Is there any further comment? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed?
Item D, Local Control Accountability Plan for 2017 to 2020.
I move that we adopt the local control accountability plan for 2017-20.
I'll second.
Are there any questions? And first and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Before we go to the next item, I'd just like to thank Dr. Sinyard primarily for the work that she's done on this. And then also, I have witnessed the hours of meetings that take place between the educational services and the business services to make sure everything's lined up. Ann Barron, Ray Poole, Matt Marshall's also been a part of that, so Christina, and so they put in a lot of time. So they work very hard to align the two documents. So
I'd also like to recognize the LCAP committee, having served on that. There's both parents and teachers on that committee, and everyone works very hard to make sure that that is a real working document.
Item E, Resolution 1718-22, approving the district spending plan for education protection account funds for 2018-19.
this is just a legacy item. We have to do it every year until 2030-31.
I move the board adopt resolution 1718-22, approving the district spending plan for educational protection account funds for 18-19.
I'll second. Are there any questions? Roll call.
Trustee Wiltman?
Yes.
Trustee Orloff?
Yes.
Trustee Nahn?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Farrell?
Yes. Item F, 2018-19 budget.
I move that we adopt the budget for the 2018-19.
Actually, consistently, it would be a first and a second, then more information or questions. So it was actually very consistent. You got to slow the vote down.
All right, so I have a first. Do I have a second?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. CBO Bear?
Thank you. It gives me great pleasure. One more time. A PowerPoint. I'm going to try to move quickly. Let's see.
Here, I'll do it.
Okay.
It's one last time.
One last time.
One last
Yeah,
time.
I need an operator. Okay. I'll start with the highlights. You don't have to read them to yourselves. Important things about this year's budget. The state's fully funding the LCFF, way ahead of schedule. That's exciting. They're eliminating the gap, so we don't have to talk about the gap anymore. And they're actually allocating more than the statutory COLA, and I'll talk more about that later. We continue to project enrollment in ABA conservatively. But we are pleased. Our schools are enrolling more students from the new housing. So to the extent that we actually know about them and they really physically enrolled, we've included them in our projections, but we have not projected additional new students in the out years. We'll count them when they show up. Our budget includes the salary settlements that the board has previously approved, the increased health insurance premiums, and the continuing increases to the STRS and PERS contribution rates. This year, for the first time, we're including retired medical contributions to our OPEB trust. That's 1% of payroll for the benefit eligible employees. That's nearly $329,000. So the intention is that that be an ongoing stream. It's not enough to fully fund the obligation, but compared to last year when we put $100,000 in, 17-18 when we just put a flat $200,000 in, by saying it's related to the pay of the people who are working, that gives us a couple things. One, we're able to charge it to categorical programs such as Title I, so that the other programs bear their share of the cost, not just the unrestricted general fund. And second, it kind of makes it ongoing. Really, we should be paying into the trust while the employees are working. That's the idea. So we're taking another step in that direction. As per usual, the board may recall, this is one of my favorite things. The state's budget's not done, but we have to make our budget. And so we know that the governor has not signed it yet. More details are coming, but we made our budget anyway. And that means changes what we need.
There were actually some last-minute adds from the legislature into trailer bills that I think has caused the governor to pause a little bit.
I agree. So looking at our projected enrollment, 2017-18 actual, we were down just slightly from the year before. In the budget year, we are projecting growth of 83 students, but that is based on actual enrollment at Lawrence Jones Middle School, some from the new housing, actual enrollment in Tech High from outside the district. So we're feeling pretty confident about these numbers. 1920, you see dropping off again because we're not counting new kids, additional new kids. New kids who are here, we assume stay with us, but more new kids we will count as they enroll. And in 2020-21, we have a little bit of a blip. We do a cohort projection where we look at how many kids were born. 5 years later, our historic percentage of those kids come to kindergarten. 2015 was a very low birth year within our 2 zip codes. For whatever reason, it was down about 60 students from the prior year. So that is the reason that we have a hit. We picked up some students at other grade levels, but that little group is a small bubble. Now we'll see with the new housing, will that be offset by new students from the new housing? But for our purpose here, we're being conservative, so we're down 8.
And we do have students now enrolling from Willow Glen. If you've driven by there are cars in the driveway.
Are there bikes and trucks outside?
You know, we've had
Unless the kids are going to
discussions.
drive to school.
We've had some discussions with the county office and looking at the generation numbers, which have been very low, speculating as to why. Certainly the cost. These are very expensive homes, which tend to generate, if anything, older students rather than younger students. And we're also trying to figure out if perhaps there are families who've enrolled who, because of the proximity of other school districts, at least for a school year, will continue to drive the kids that they have to the school they were enrolled in. So hopefully, you know, during the summer, we might see transitions, or we may not get those students. They may choose to keep driving 5 miles or something to the school they were at. So over time, 2,000 houses should generate at least 500 students. That's very conservative, but we haven't seen that. Of course, they're not there yet. Some of the more affordable housing in the university district, Brookfield wants to start building sooner rather than later, but they can't quite get everything done through the city of Roanoke Park that they need to do. So certainly over the next half a decade, we're going to have students enrolled in there. It just may never be as much as we would hope for. And then another factor that we've looked at is where people are moving into those homes from. For instance, Trustee Wiltermuth might have a handle on that, because we would kind of think if it's people moving up within our district, well, then that frees up a more affordable house that families might move into. But if it's people moving in from outside of our district, we may not benefit from any new enrollment from that purchase.
I think we're seeing a lot of new, younger couples that are both working that don't have kids yet. That are
In
buying a lot of these houses.
the new
All over one part, yeah.
Okay, well, eventually they're gonna have kids.
But yeah, I've been spending a lot of weekends in the K section of building houses, so there's a lot of kids up there.
All right.
Riding their bikes, taking their dogs for a walk.
Okay, so basically we're seeing the same trend in ADA as on enrollment. Moving on to the budget, I know this is small, I still can't figure out a way to make it bigger and still fit on one page. But I just want to point out a couple things about the budget. Our total revenue is up, and that's really the state giving us increased LCFF funding, which is huge. You will notice that the STRS and PERS line shows we're increasing nearly $1 million over the prior year. And we've done that without cutting any programs or anything else. Certificated salaries are up while services are down, and that reflects the fact that we are budgeting for more employees. We have had a good hiring season, particularly in special education, and we expect to need fewer outside contractors, and we've brought more employees on payroll. So that was a very important thing, and we're very pleased to have that. Those are the main items. I would say we do project deficit spending for 17-18. That is common at this time of year, almost universal. By the time the books are closed, I would expect most of that deficit will disappear. We do our best to estimate where our ending fund balance will be, but we never want to go too far and end up not meeting that projection. So some highlights. We have, coming from the state in our budget, put an additional one-time mandate backlog payment of $1.5 million. This is one of those things where we had to build the budget before we knew what the state was really going to do. The final amount is expected to be $168 per ADA, which will reduce that number by $590,000 from the projection of $275 per ADA that we have in our budget. That will be adjusted in August. That it changes more than offset by the increase in local control funding formula revenue, and it won't be fully offset in 18-19. So they're funding a higher COLA. But over the 3-year span of this projection period, we will come out ahead by more LCFF revenue than we lose on one time. So our budget will look different in August in terms of categories, but overall it will be more positive. We are managing the increased retirement contributions, STRS going up to 16.28% from 14.43%, PERS going to 18.062 versus 15.531. So those are pretty substantial increases. And as the board recalls, we have those continuing for years to come. And I believe one of the trustees asked to see this at a prior meeting, and so we've updated our, I believe Trustee Nan called it the chart that gave them sleepless nights, showing our PERS and STRS liability going in the out years. And again, this is based on current salary dollars. So if we didn't give anyone a raise and didn't hire any more employees, this is what our projected obligation is. It's an astonishing number, really, a $38 million increase over the base. And somehow, school districts across the state are going to have to find a way to cover those costs.
So is there any talk, well, I mean, we're going to be waiting for a new governor, but I got to think that there'll be some legislation around this in some way or some other funding mechanism that will, because I mean, having talked to trustees in both Santa Rosa City and West County, it's clear that while we prepared for this, they may not have. And we can only prepare for so long.
Correct, correct. So the next slide talks about that a little bit. When you see the statutory COLA was 2.71%. This is something we've really not seen where the state says, we're going to use a different COLA for the LCFF and it's higher. So what we built the budget on was 3%, but the final state budget is using 3.7%. And that is intended to help us cover the STRS and PERS costs. Although they're not saying that in the law, you can't hold them to it, but that is the basis for giving it to us.
So as you may recall, I'm on the FICMAC board, and we had our meeting on Sunday, and this was one of the main topics of discussion. The expectation from the state was that this 1% absolutely was to help cover the pension costs, but they do not want to create the perception of a categorical that districts could count on every year for that. So they will never come out and say it, but that's what that 1% was for.
And I guess the comment I would have, and I'm glad that there's some thought process going on in Sacramento as to what to do about pensions. I can tell you for sure that West County is cutting. They're cutting positions, they're cutting programs. I can tell you for sure that Santa Rosa City is doing similar things.
Correct.
And so just based upon my discussions with trustees in both districts, we haven't had to do that because we've anticipated it. I don't know why they didn't, but we're in a far better place right now than they are. But we all know that may not last forever due to a $38 million potential liability. So I just want to make that comment that, thank you for at least getting us out ahead of this. We're in better shape than other districts, but it's still a concern.
And to be fair to the state's response would be, we have increased your funding and you should be setting those dollars aside to cover these pension costs. I mean, this state budget is a really good state budget. And in the reduction of the one-time funds, if you understand our budget, is somewhat of a game changer. That's what a lot of members of the legislature have wanted to do for years, that Governor Brown has resisted, because as long as it was one time, it didn't multiply your base to the next year. Now it does. So our starting point for 1920 will be much higher with those dollars built into the LCFF than coming to us one time.
Right.
And as we've discussed in the past, when it's something one time every single year, it starts to look not as one-time-ish.
Right.
So that was, I'm sure, a major backroom negotiation that took place. But I can tell you the state's perspective is, we've increased your funding. You should be setting a lot of it aside to pay for these pension costs.
And it's good that we've set up a fund to do just that, point one, and that we've accommodated in our general fund the ability to take care of business on the ongoing year to year. So,
but it is still true, there will be the ongoing struggle to balance our employees' desire for current compensation versus the fact that we are funding their pension.
Well, and the challenge will be in that year where there's level funding. Because if your funding's level and you have another $1 million you have to pay in pension costs, well then you're either going to have to dip into reserves if you've built them, or make $1 million in cuts.
And right now we're already seeing districts make $1 million or
Correct.
more in
There are
cuts.
districts already
doing that, and that's I guess this is just and I'll talk more about it later in the second part of our meeting when I get to talk a little bit about you, but I'll leave my comments for then. But I think that we've done a good job in recognizing our exposures over the past few years, and I think this is phenomenal. Quite frankly, I don't think it necessarily solves our pension problems, but we're in a far better place than other districts, and because of what we're doing here, from a facilities perspective and from a programmatic perspective, it's something you can see from the street, and people may come here because of that when they see teachers get laid off in West County. We're only 8 miles away.
And if nothing else, I think we'll see the departures diminish. And that was really always our goal, was to keep the kids who live here. If we accomplish that, that's huge.
And we've pretty much done that. And it just creates more opportunity here, I think.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we are adding programs. We're not cutting programs.
No.
You know, we've added code review.
We're adding employees. We're offering
adding more advanced placement offerings at the high school level. I think we've done a good job of finding that balance, taking care of the kids who are here now and the employees. All right, moving on, we have to talk about reserves. So this slide I simplified. I did not include the reserves for instructional materials and for the payment to Sonoma State for the Fairfield Osborne project. We don't have a timeline for that project, or when we would pay Sonoma State. We don't have an agreement. So both of those we're just designating in the fund balance, and we'll budget the dollars so we know we're going to have to pay them. The instructional material reserve we're trying to hold on to because every year we have to buy more instructional materials. But someday we will have to spend the reserve, and then we how we pay for the next round. So that's something we're trying to plan for too.
I don't even think Fairfield Osborne is going to even be on the drawing board until after the asbestos problems at Sonoma State are concluded. We could be talking years from now.
Right. So the challenge for Robert would be to remember that.
What was Fairfield Osborne Reserve? Does that exist? What is that?
We may have a new president at Sonoma State at that point.
Correct. So anyway, this chart basically just shows that our reserves are fine. Yes, we would like bigger reserves, but we're in the 4.5% range. We're above board policy. So, and again, it's finding that balance between building reserves, compensating our employees, and buying the things our students need. So, planning considerations for future years. Not a lot new on this list. Obviously, instructional materials, replacing technology. We will have to expand some of our support staff as the tag building comes online. And as our reopened schools grow in population, we'll need more custodians, more other kinds of support staff. And teachers, of course, will be added in line with enrollment. We will have to increase our contribution to the routine restricted maintenance account, which is a restricted fund. So when at second interim, we thought that wasn't going to change until 2020-21. It's been moved up a year, so it will kick in 2019-20. It's about a $680,000 increase to that fund, and that increase will come out of the unrestricted general fund. We have included it in the projections, but it's just something to be aware of because that's a lot of money. And then, of course, deferred maintenance projects, when the bond funds are gone, we will have to have a plan for that. We are waiting for more rules about how routine restricted maintenance is going to be changed, because maybe that increased contribution can go towards deferred maintenance. So we'll keep you updated as more information becomes available.
I'm sort of waiting, as we're dealing with our facilities bond. There was a proposition that was passed, for matching funds, and Governor Brown has been, I guess, to say the least, apprehensive of doing anything with that prop. And I don't know what Newsom or Cox's position is on those, but I guess we're going to have to wait and see.
Well, the indications so far from the presentations we go to are that Newsom is likely to accelerate selling those bonds. So we'll see, and we'll be hopeful.
I mean, that would save us money, and we've done, hopefully that would allow us to even take care of other problems so that we don't even have to consider potentially another bond in the future.
So yeah, more information to come. Ongoing stirs and curves of medical premiums. The projections do include health premiums increasing at 3% in the out years. We factored in the real known premium increase for the budget year. 3%, is that enough? Is that too much? I don't know. You don't know. No one knows. So it's a reasonable number based on recent history. That's about all we can say. The minimum wage increase continue to phase in, and at some point they do put pressure on our classified employee salary schedule. So it's just something we have to bear in mind at the bargaining table. The retiree medical liability, it would be great to get that to more like 2 or 2.5% of payroll, but again, it's that trade-off between other things we need to spend money on. And of course, we know our employees will always want future salary increases. So, more details will come from the trailer bills. That usually takes well into July. We will have 45 days to update the district budget once the governor signs it, and we plan to present that at the August 21st board meeting. And that will probably just be on the revenue side. The whole budget we really can't go through until we've got actual employees in actual positions with actual column, and that's what first interim is for. And then the unaudited actual report Robert will be presenting at the September 18th board meeting.
Question?
It's, again, positive, not negative. We got a running string here going now, and with the pension issues in the county, or really in the state, I would expect that we're going to see some districts fall into negative over time. I'm happy not to be there at this point, unlike not so long ago. I guess the only question I have is, it seems like health premium increases have been fairly flat over the last few years. I mean, we see any anticipated increases there over the next few years, or should I hold that question for Robert?
Well, Robert and I actually are going to CBT's presentation tomorrow about what's driving premium increases. So I would say we'll know more later. But a lot of it is competition, and a lot of it is what do they think the federal government is going to do about the Affordable Care Act, if anything, and when, and what will whatever new is done look like, or are we just going to stay where we are?
First of all.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item G, Resolution 1718-23, authorization for Robert A. Haley, Julie Sinyard, Robert Maricol, am I saying that correctly? Markel. Ray Poole, Elizabeth Kaufman, Matthew Marshall, and Josh Savage to sign on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
I move we adopt Resolution 1718-23, authorization for Robert A. Haley, Julie Sinyard, Robert Maricol, Ray Poole, Elizabeth Kaufman, Matt Marshall, Josh Savage to sign on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
Second. Are there any questions?
Are there any financial limits to these signatures?
Just what's in statute. I do suggest at some point we revisit the 3000 series that got tabled quite some time ago.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
I think that should be something we schedule for this fall.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Trustee Wiltman?
Yes.
Trustee Orloff?
Yes.
Trustee Nahn?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Farrell?
Yes. Item H, Resolution 1718-24, specifications of the election order for November 6, 2018.
I move we adopt Resolution 1718-24, specifications of the election order for November 6, 2018.
I'll second that.
All right.
Well, are there any questions? Roll call. Oh, I'm sorry, did you have a question?
What if this got voted down?
I have no idea. They send it to us every 2 years. I don't know.
Would they take over and say that you're going to have an election?
Yeah, I think they probably would. I think we'd probably hear from the county superintendent.
Yeah.
Hey, we heard from Sonoma County that you guys didn't.
I'm just curious. It's like,
Yes,
I don't know.
it's a resolution.
No, but it was.
okay. Just
Yeah, I had the same thought.
curious thought.
One I didn't see.
No, he told me it wasn't a roll call.
Well, I didn't
The
see
roll
the
call.
sheet there. Go ahead.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Wiltman? Yes. Trustee Orloff?
Yes.
Trustee Nahn?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Farrell?
Yes. Item I, expense reimbursement for trustee Nahn pursuant to the mediated agreement.
I recuse myself.
Okay. I move we reimburse Tim Nahn pursuant to the mediated agreement.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 9, public comments. Prior to the meeting, just kidding. Please note the meeting is recorded and live streamed at crpusd.org. Members of the public are entitled to speak on matters not on the agenda near the conclusion of the meeting when called for by the board president. Please state your name and address and keep your comments concise, brief, and limited to 3 minutes or less. A maximum of 20 minutes is allotted to each subject not appearing on the agenda. If there are more speakers than time allotted, they are each offered the opportunity to speak for an equal duration up to 20 minutes. The Brown Act restricts the board from considering any item not appearing on the posted agenda. Are there any public comment requests? Item 10, we're going to convene to closed session. Are there any public comment requests? To discuss public employee performance evaluation of the superintendent.